Hello again. So I'm back for another episode, another update. Yeah. So money habits that kept me broke that I've done for my entire life and what I want to try and change with this. So money habits that done me the worst, I think more than anything, was emotional spending. The emotional spending has been happening since I can go right the way back to when I was 16 years old. I remember my first ever job was working at Mackie D's, McDonald's. I worked there from 16 to 22. So I was there for 6 years. In that time, I was in college, did a bit of university as well, but I dropped out after a year or so. Um, I always did too many hours at Mackey's, and I never actually prioritised college or university or my future properly. I talked a great game, but I never really did. And I always wanted to do something to sort of like go back and correct that, because I always saw it as like a big missed chapter for me, you know. Like I really, really wanted to do that, but that was also related back to spending as well. It was working whilst I was in college, but back then I used to also get something called EMA, which is Education Maintenance Allowance. So you get like £30 a week just for turning up. So as you can imagine, all that just went on rubbish and all that other stuff. But I remember thinking to myself the whole time I was there and for years after and even up to now that I've only ever spent money emotionally. And it was from that time, that sort of first 6 years working at Maccadees and going out to clubs every single week from the age of 18 to about 24, 25 or so, 26. And it was food, drinks, girls, movies, trips I couldn't afford and all that sort of stuff. But it was just constant. It was over and over and over again. It was just spending the same money on the same stuff. And I say the same money because it come from the same place. All the jobs I've done are quite samey. All the things I've done are quite samey. So all the things I've always spent my money on are quite samey. It's never anything. I never sort of bought anything big ticket stuff, which is the craziest thing in the world. I worked for 16, 17 years now with nothing to show for it. And that's because I never sort of like I can never be a big ticket spender for some reason. I could always do, if you give me £1,000,000 in £20 notes, I could spend it no time. No time at all. But if you asked me to buy £1,000,000 thing with that, I'd really struggle. I'd really, really struggle. And I can't buy something big straight away and go, oh, there we go, it's £1,000,000. I'd be sweating over buying a £200 whatever if I had £1,000 spare. But I'd buy 8 amounts of £20 worth of whatever very easily, or I'd do 50 £20 things on a dinner, or like I don't know, just like I would drib and drab money away over nothing, just small things all the time. And I always wanted to have that part of me that could just buy big ticket stuff, so I could sort of have something to blame it on, where I'd go, yeah, like that's a big thing. That's something to show for all this work that I've done. But I never did. I always had just that stupid incessant need to just go to Tesco, go in the shops, or just buy crap food, or it was the strangest thing in the world. It's always been the strangest thing in the world. Those money habits, those emotional spending things of food has been a huge one, and alcohol has been a bit. It's yes and no, but it's like that's also been there. But going out and stuff, but it's always been just like I get this feeling inside first of all, and then it's like then I have to go spend it, And I'd run myself into debt, and it'd be credit cards, it'd be whatever. But I'll get onto that another time. But it would be any means I could to be able to spend that money. It would just be, I'd spend money. I mean, I remember some of the craziest things that I spent money on. Man, it's just silly stuff, and it's those basic habits of not prioritizing tomorrow. It was always in the moment. It was always right here, right now. Have to go and get a little bit on the way home from work because otherwise it will upset my rhythm. And it was when I spoke to someone about that. I spoke to a counsellor about that, and she explained to me why that was so valuable and why it was so, like, in terms of insight into me, why it was so valuable, because it's an example of a run-off from something when I was a kid. So I would just go and seek pleasure all the time in these little hits, these little, I think what people call it dopamine hits or whatever. But I'd go and seek pleasure of all these little things over and over again, rather than doing a big thing, because the big thing was the same as the little thing to me. So over the years, all I've ever done is just do that over and over and over again. I've just done loads and loads and loads of habitual spending, and if I go into Tesco now, which is like my main hub, I can almost see in my head what I'm going to get beforehand. It won't be a new thing every time. It'll be like very similar things, and I'll eat something for 6 months constantly, and then swap over to something else, or I'll just find something random and I'll latch onto that, and then after 6 months or however long, I change to something else, and then that's that. But it's always feeling something. It's like emotional spending is such a big one to me, and the immediacy of stuff. Having to have things right now, rather than having to wait. Never big stuff, because big stuff I'd always am an hour over, or like, I don't know. But small things all the time. Small things were always like right here, and it always had this strange urgency behind it. And that, I didn't realise that was just cutting the legs from under me every single time. I'd never sort of put money away to get something that I actually wanted to. And I'd always be mad about that in the short term. So if it was nights out when I was younger, my mates for a long time would foot the bill for me, because I'd piss my money away, slowly but surely over time, to have nothing left before payday come. And back then I was earning money every 2 weeks, or other jobs weekly or whatever, but it was always like just before pay. I was always skint, and I'll get back to you, mate, and this that all the time. But it was always from that place. I'd never had any restraint in any way, shape or form. I never had any boundaries for myself. And I also found out that comes from another place. That comes from a place from a long, long time ago, of why I haven't got any boundaries and why money isn't a boundary for me. At least it wasn't, and I want it to be now. And I want to try and gradually change that and tweak that over time, because I don't want to go for the rest of my life without boundaries there when it comes to money. And I think setting a long-term goal for myself and a long-term prize for myself will be the difference. Having a prize and having something to go, we're going that way, will be the difference. And I kind of want to go that way and go with this. I want to go that way and go. I don't quite know where it's going. I don't quite know how this will look in a year from now, 5 years from now, whenever. However long I do this for. I want to just keep doing this for as long as I can, really, and see where it goes. And it'd be great to make money with this, but at the same time, it's sort of like, if you want to make money with this, or want to make money with these kind of things, you have to kind of, I don't know, do you have to be a bit fake, a bit disingenuous? Even me saying that, is that trying to be fake? Is that trying to be, I don't know, is that not playing up to the camera, but is that sort of like doing the very thing I'm trying to rally against? I'm not doing this necessarily for people to jump on and go, well done, Scotty, and all that, and all that sort of stuff. I just want to do it. I can't lose with this. I just want to do it for myself. And I really do. And if anyone watches it, lovely. But this is an accountability check for me. And anything I learn, people can watch and people can take in their own life. Or if they're too busy to know this stuff, but I'll go and find out, great. One hand washes the other. But I don't know. I really want to do this just to see if I can be someone else in this regard. people always say, you know, love you for who you are, and I go, not for me, mate, not for me. I want to sort of keep changing and keep adapting. I don't want to stand still. I did it for a long time. I want to sort of see who I can be. I want to be the best version of yourself for people. Doesn't mean I want to be on all the time and like, rigid still, but I want to kind of be the best version of myself as often as I can, and however that looks is however that looks. But I know, whatever you want to say about people, if you're better with money as opposed to being worse with money, that's better. If you save money more than you spend money, that's better. You need to spend money as well, and you're saving it for a reason, obviously, but, is it better to be good with money or bad with money? Well, good with money. How does that look? Well, it means having savings, it means having investments, maybe, your house paid for, whatever, but that's what it means. It means to actually be good with money, to like not spend when you feel like it, and put some away and prioritise this and this. And so like that's what I want to try and physically do for once. And this will be my accountability for that going forward. And if anyone watches it and wants to get on board with that, I want them to look at that and go, well, I'm either following his lead or I'm seeing something in that, or maybe, whatever. But I just don't want to come across as like I don't know. I don't want to come across as doing it for effect, doing it for like, someone said to me the other day, it's something called a digital hug. I don't want to do it for like a, well done Scotty, or like a pat on the back. I want to actually do it because this will apply to my own life. But yeah, well, there we go. Those are a lot of my habits that I do. But yeah, I'm going to keep this going for sure. But yeah, those are definitely some like my biggest habits: emotional spending, quick moments, quick fire. And I'm going to try and figure out ways over the course of this to learn that new side of thinking, not just putting things in practice, but how to physically think differently, so that doesn't happen anywhere near as much, hopefully. So yeah, okay. Well, what I say. Thanks a lot for coming back. I'll be doing more of these much more often. So I'll do these, like a few times a week or whenever. But I will just throw these out as much as possible. So yeah, thanks a lot for stopping by. And look, if this helps, I hope it does. And yeah, I will see you again next time.